All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project podcast. Again, this is Dr. Anthony Balduzzi. I'm the founder here at the Fit Father Project, the host of this podcast. And today I'm so excited that I'm joined by Kerry Hayes, one of our amazing program members. He has a wonderful story, and Kerry wanted to come on because he wants to help someone with a story. He shares his story inside of our Brotherhood Facebook groups inside the program, and it certainly helps a lot of guys. And Kerry, thanks for taking the time to come on here and share your story with the podcast at large, because I know you went through an incredible experience. So to introduce you to the podcast, I'd love for you to share with us your name, your age, where you're from, a little bit about your line of work and your family, and then we'll get into your weight loss story.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm Kerry Hayes. I'm 55 years old, just turned 55 last Tuesday. And
congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Feeling old, but feeling good. Live in Gray, Maine, which is a small suburb of Portland, about 20 minutes north of Portland. Live there, have been here for 12 years with my wife, Julie, and my son, Benton. I work for a credit union in Lewiston, Maine, which is about a half hour from here. I'm the executive vice president, so I do a lot of computer work, a lot of sitting. So I don't do much for exercise at work. And I've never been really I've never been an athlete. I was always the fat kid. So that's where I am right now.
Kerry, take us back to October 2020. You know, kind of like what I'll call one of the low points of your health before you found the program. As you wrote in before that, you know, you found yourself at the doctor's office and you realized things were not going in the right direction. So let's talk about that. And I'd like to know about what got you there, where you were at in that point in your health. And let's start there.
Well, I was going to my annual physical and I was worried about my blood pressure because it's been high for the last few years, but I've always told the doctor, you know, I'm going to lose weight. Hopefully the blood pressure will go down, so let's hold off on the medication. So I knew I hadn't lost any weight. I'd actually gained probably another 20 pounds since my last physical. And I was quite worried about going on the blood pressure medication. And the doctor shocked me by saying, you know what, I'm going to hold off on the blood pressure medication. Your cholesterol level is too high. So they said, I'm going to put you on a small dose of cholesterol medication. And at that point, I'm like, you know what, I'm on cholesterol medication. Chances are I'm going to be on blood pressure medication. And I'm not one that I don't like to take any type of pills. I don't even take an aspirin or Tylenol for a headache. I just go through it. I just don't like taking medication if I don't have to. So at that point, I just determined, you know what, I've got to do something. So it just started out right there. I'm like, I've made a commitment to myself to get off the medication, lose my weight. I was at the heaviest I'd ever been.
How heavy were you, Kerry?
I was almost 260 pounds. I was 258.8. And that was the highest. And when I was in high school, I was at like 210, 220, and I was probably about 8 to 10 inches shorter than I am now. I'm 6'4". So I'd always been the fat kid. So I just knew it's time. I need to do something. I should have done it years ago, but I never did. Life gets in the way, and it's like without any guidance or whatever, it's like I kind of stumbled through it all and failed.
Yeah.
Until I found the Fit Father Project. So
tell me about that. Where'd you find us? How'd you find us? And what were you thinking at the time, seeing an online weight loss program and knowing that you knew you needed to make some changes, but what was your initial experience with finding us like?
Yeah, I didn't really search for anything. I was just going through my Facebook feeds, and this Fit Father project showed up, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're over 40, you can't spend a lot of time in the gym, you know, this is for you. So I'm like, yeah, okay, it's another gimmick. So like all the others that I've tried and failed at. So I'm like, but you know what? It's not going to hurt. And for the entry level price for the first month, I said, you know what? It's cheaper than a gym membership, which I paid for those and then didn't go. So I said, you know what, if I don't do it, I'm really not out much more than maybe a couple months for a gym membership. So I figured, why not? I'll try it and see where I go, which I'm surprised at the results, actually. So
so I want to do a little like fast forward, fast back. How much weight did you end up losing with us on the program?
Total of 60 pounds.
Wow.
Once I hit 200, well, I first wanted to go down to my ideal weight, which the doctors always said was 215. So that was about 35, 37 pounds. So I said, I want to go back. I want to get down to my ideal weight so I can prove to the doctors that I can do it. Then once I got there, I said, you know what? Let's go for 50 pounds. And then I said, well, going for 50 pounds, why not go to 60 pounds, which is just like a couple pounds less than 200. So I've gotten down to 200, then I've dropped down to the 60 pounds, then I kind of go up and then down back and then back up to the 200, 201. But I'm fine with that. I think I'm at the point where I'm probably not going to lose much more weight. But I'm fine with that. I'm healthy, and now it's just kind of building up the muscles. My blood pressure's dropped, obviously. My body fat percent I'm hovering around 15.5%.
Nice.
I'm in that range where when I first started back in January measuring it, I was at like, I think 23%. So I've gone down significantly with that. But yeah, it's been tough, but it's been rewarding, and actually it's been fun. Because I'm one where I need to find something that's going to keep me engaged, and something that I enjoy doing. Because if I consider if it's work and it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. When I was going to the gym, I would go in the afternoon after work, and I'd be like, you know what, I'm tired. I'm just going to skip the gym tonight. I'll go tomorrow. Then the next day comes, you know what, it's hot out. I want to spend some time outside. I'm not going to go to the gym. So it just fell to the wayside. So it didn't do me any good. So I've not really rearranged my schedule, but I'm an early morning riser. So I'm up at 3 a.m. So before, when I was getting up at 3 a.m., I was just playing on the computer, not doing much. But once I started with the Fit Father Project, I figured, you know what, I'll take that hour that I'm on the computer and I'll work out in my basement. So that's what I changed the most, was doing that instead of spending time on the computer and not really accomplishing anything. So, and that way I got my workout in every single day. And I knew, and it made me feel good for the rest of the day. So I felt like I've accomplished something, and I felt good about what I actually did. So
nice.
So
that's a very powerful change.
Yeah. But like I said, I've always been an early morning riser. So it may not work for others, but for me, it works. So so I kind of say, whatever works for you, do it. So what may work for me may not work for others, and what may work for others may not work for me. It's like you just need to find what works and fits in your schedule and go with it.
Totally. We're like, as you know, because you went through the program, such huge proponents of that. It's like there's no one size fits all plan. The idea is, how do you develop your own unique plan with what time is best for your exercise? So for you, it's the morning. And I'm curious, on the nutrition front, what did you figure out worked for you? Like, how did you set up your meals throughout the day? What kind of stuff did you eat? What did you find as your sustainable nutrition plan?
Well, I went through the meal guide that you had that was with the program. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the food that's in it. So I just told myself, you know what, I'm still going to do I'm still going to eat what I want. I'm going to try and eat healthy, because I still eat the salads for lunch with an apple. My morning, I have I make myself a fruit smoothie with bananas and strawberries and yogurt and almond milk, some ground cinnamon and some honey. Use that. For supper, and it's usually chicken. I don't eat much red meat of any kind. It's usually chicken or pork or turkey that I'll eat, which I like it anyway. And I will have every now and then I'll have some pizza or some takeout, but for the pizza, it's like instead of having 5 or 6 pieces at a setting, I'll have 3 with a salad. So it's just putting it in moderation. And still eating what I like, because if I give it all up, I'm just going to crave it that much more. So I just set myself up for failure if I do that. So I figure, you know what, if I have the pizza, it's going to be half of what I eat, what I used to eat. If I have an ice cream, I may buy like a large like Blizzard from Dairy Queen and only eat like a third of it in one setting, and then put it in the freezer, have a third of it like the next day or whatever. So it's just putting everything in moderation. And I told myself that, probably I'm not going to lose as much weight doing this way as opposed to following the meal plan. But I was fine with that. I'm like, I'll live with that. I'll lose the weight on my own. But if it works, it works. If not, I can always tweak it some.
Yeah.
I still do the fasting. Every Tuesday I do a fast. Sometimes I'll do the Thursday fast as well. Because I'm a proponent of, weighing myself daily. I know because it's a gauge for me to see where I'm at, what I need to do for that day. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to eat as much of the junk, well, not really the junk food, because I've given up chips and the snacks, that type of stuff. So, but I'll just put in moderation what I'm going to eat for the day. May put in a little extra when I'm working out, just so I can gauge where I'm at, so I don't see the weight climbing up to like 220, 230, 240 again, because I'm not going to do that again. So
there's some powerful lessons in there. One, what I love about your approach is you're a perfect example of how you can lose 60 pounds with just moderation. Still eating a Blizzard from Dairy Queen on occasion, still having pizza on occasion. I think a lot of guys need to hear this, because when they think they need to be losing weight, they need to be completely rigid on a super strict plan. And it's just not going to be sustainable over the long haul. You need to find something that works sustainably, which you absolutely found. And it sounds like you also found your go-to breakfast. You like your smoothie. You have salads for lunch. You have your couple go-to proteins for dinner, your turkey, your chicken, your pork. And so you have a lot of these elements there. What I also love that you shared is the idea of you weigh yourself every day, and you use the word, and that helps you gauge what you're doing for the day. That's like this kind of auto-regulation principle where you see, oh, I'm up a little bit from last night's dinner. Maybe we'll keep it a little tighter today. And that way your drifts are very small, and you got an opportunity to respond and tighten things back up. That seems really, really key, not just to your weight loss, but your ability to keep it off.
Yeah. And then I always think, well, okay, well, what did I have yesterday? Okay, I had something that had more sodium in it. It's like a takeout. There's more sodium in it. So obviously I didn't drink enough water. So it just mentally prepares me for the day as to what I need to do to correct that action from the day before.
Let's switch back and talk about the workouts for a little bit, because I know that was a big thing. I'm picturing you waking up at 3 a.m., normally sitting on the computer and kind of getting this slow start to your day. But now you're going down to your basement and you're doing these workouts, the Fit Father workouts. How would you describe those to a man who hasn't done this type of exercise before?
The Apex 10 was a killer. It really was that first time. of course, never really worked out. And then I'm like everyone else that's talked about it. It's like, oh, it's real easy. It's a few exercises. Yeah, you'll be able to sail through that. I started out with 10-pound weights. I was able to get up to 10 and back down in probably about 55 minutes, but I was hurting. I was hurting after. It's like I just thought I was going to die, really. But and of course I had to do the push-ups and the renegade rows on my knees. Because I really couldn't do much of any type of push-up, let alone a renegade row. But as I progressed, doing it the 3 times a week, it was getting easier. The time was coming off. I think the first time was like 55 minutes, and then I got down to 50, and then 48, and then 45. Then I went up to 15-pound weights.
Nice.
Did the same thing, and just kept watching my time and doing that and going. I think after the first 30 days, I was at 20 pounds, and I think I was at like 46 minutes, completing the full apex with 20 pounds.
So in 30 days, you doubled your weight.
Granted,
and you dropped your time. That's impressive. Yep. That's really, and
yes.
I mean, that's got to be very encouraging to see the substantial improvement to your fitness and strength and cardiovascular capacity and in form and all these things.
Yeah. And I wasn't near the end of it. I think my very last Apex 10 in the 30 days, I actually did it without any modifications. That was the first time that I was able to do it without going down to my knees. So I was thrilled with that. And I said, that's only the beginning. So now let's see where I can go. So it was a challenge, but it was, and I like challenges. So I kind of pushed myself to keep going and doing it. And actually it was kind of fun. Not being someone who's always worked out or was an athlete or anything like that in school or college. And I wasn't in the military. I've always pretty much had a sedentary life and a sedentary job, so I wasn't doing much activity. So seeing that I was breathing easier during the exercises, still sweating it up, but yeah, it made me feel good to complete it and look forward to the next one. And then of course, once phase 2 hit, doing those, some modifications that I needed to do. And I just thought that they were, the routines were kind of fun. There were a couple that I did not enjoy at all. But I did them. I did skip a couple workouts. I just couldn't get out of bed. I'm just like, you know what? I just don't want to do it. And I'll do it tomorrow. And I think there was actually one I said, you know what? I can't skip it, but I'm not going to do it. So I did it. I did a different workout that day instead. Because if I'm not enjoying it, I'm only going to give maybe 50% effort, and that's not doing me any favors. So I'm like, you know what? I think I did the Monroe or the Kennedy, one of those, which I really like those two. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do that one as opposed to I don't know.
Maybe Double Trouble or the Great Destroyer,
Assault or the Great Destroyer. It was one of it could have been one of those. Which those weren't my favorites, but I did them. But yeah, but like in everything, you're going to have some that you're going to like. You're going to have some that you're not going to like. But you know what? It's just you need to do it. And if you don't do it, try and find something else that you can incorporate into it. So
I'm imagining as you're starting to do these workouts in the morning, you know, whether you felt motivated some days or not, how were there changes to your energy and how you were like throughout the beginning of your day in terms of your productivity as you began exercising in the morning?
I really saw a change at night because, of course, getting up at 3, I would usually go to bed usually around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Pretty much the whole family here are early to bed. But usually after supper, I'd be in my chair and I'd be falling asleep by like 6 o'clock. I'd wake up and then doze off and then wake up and then go to bed. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not falling asleep after supper. So, and we get out and we try and do things. Of course, here up in Maine, we get snow most of the time, and our summers are usually maybe a couple months long, and that's about it. We're having our heat wave now, so we're in like 90-degree weather the last few days, but that's pretty much probably going to be our only summer. But we're supposed to be down in like the 60s tomorrow. So, but it's like they say, if you don't like the weather in Maine, just wait and it's going to change, which it always does. So that was the big difference that I noticed. I wasn't falling asleep earlier, and my sleep was, I'm having deeper sleep. I would wake up several times throughout the night and like roll over and see what time it was on the clock and then roll back to bed. And I would be constantly looking at the clock through the night. So I didn't really get a deep sleep, but now I'm pretty much sleeping from when I go to bed to probably around 2:45. So, and it's a deep sleep. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night. So that's the big change. I've always been a morning person. So I go into work early. I'm usually at work by 7 o'clock in the morning. I work 7 to 5. And I get to work before anyone else does. So I get all my work, most of my work done before anyone else shows up. Because being executive vice president, I'm second in command, so I'm putting out a lot of fires during the day. So if I can get my stuff done before the other people show up, that helps. And so this has helped me get into that routine of getting everything done, and feeling pretty good about it. So,
question for you, Kerry. Knowing the kind of routine you've established using the Fit Father program and modifications that you've made, why is this sustainable for you moving forward? Is this sustainable for you moving forward? How is this different than any, of the past diets or gimmicks that you tried in the past?
I'm hoping it's sustainable for me. Of course, I'm I guess you'd say scared to going back to my old ways. So I need to make it work. It's always going to be a battle as to what the good choices to make. It's always probably going to be a struggle. There's probably going to be times where I'm going to slip and I'm going to say, you know what, I'm not going to do it, or I'm going to eat this. I want to eat it and I'm going to eat it, and then feel guilty about eating after. So I just need to constantly look at it and say, do I want to go back on the medication? Do I want to be unhealthy again? Do I want to have high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, like my father did? He died about 3 years ago of congestive heart failure, and he was an overweight guy. But I watch him and I'm like, I don't want to be in that situation. He had real trouble walking. And I said, I don't want to do that. I want to be active in my life. I'm just disappointed in myself for not doing it sooner. With the results that I've had and the energy that I've had, and doing more things with the family, and not saying, you know what, I'm tired, I don't want to do that. Not playing with my son. Of course, he's 20 now, so he's got his own career now. So he's not home that much, but he still does live with us. But yeah, I would just feel guilty that I didn't spend the time with him, that I should have when he was growing up and he wanted to play, and I'm just getting home from work, and can you just give me 5 minutes? And then we just never end up playing. So I do have kind of guilt for that. But although he says that I spent plenty of time with him, but I just don't feel like I did. I think I could have done more, and I was wishing that I could do more. Now that I look back, instead of, we're doing a lot of stuff now, but I'm just like, is it? I just feel like I could have spent more quality time with him instead of just sitting on the couch and
well, it's powerful
dozing off.
To know what that was like and know how you feel now. And I think for me, I'm an optimistic guy, so I see your future, and I'm excited for you that you get a back half of life with more energy and greater health. And it certainly seems like you're on path to follow a much different course than your father did, now that you have the weight off and you're off all the medications too. I mean, that's really incredible. I give you huge props for that. Congratulations on doing that. I mean, you got off that path. It seemed like that was kind of an inevitable step for you. Cholesterol, blood pressure medication, more weight gain, heart's more taxed, but you got off the course there, and that's a really beautiful thing. Anything you would share with a guy who's starting out, who's maybe in your shoes, a busy career man, demanding job, excuses, things you've tried in the past that didn't work for you? What a little bit of advice would you give to a man? Maybe that was you several years ago, and I'd love to end with that bit of advice.
Give it a try. Just try it. And if it doesn't work, try something else. You're not going to know if you don't like doing it, if you don't try it. So at least try it once. Because like I said before, I'm like, is this a fly-by-night program? Are these results real? Is it, because I could have just swiped by and not done anything, but I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll try and find something else. But it did work, and part of it working is because I needed to make it work, and it was enjoyable for me to do. If it feels like work, I don't think it's going to be as effective. If you think that it's something that's going to benefit you and you enjoy doing it, it may be tough, but if you enjoy challenges, you're going to be successful. By not trying it, I think you're going to do a disservice to yourself if you don't at least try it and see if it will work or not.
I really take that to heart. Do something that's fun. Find joy in the challenge. Give it a shot. Really powerful, and I'm glad you did those things. And congratulations again on your great success. And I wish you more great health into the future. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom with us, Kerry.
Great. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thanks everyone for checking this episode out. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you on next episode of the Fit Father Project podcast.